JB Media is back with more content to share, with free drops that include thumbnails and logos of character classes, schools of magic, guild icons, background textures, the most adorable potion mimic you've ever laid eyes on, and so much more. As a patron, you get even more free content with access to exclusive drops. But fear not, if you're not a Patreon subscriber, there are still bundles available for purchase to glam up your virtual tabletop. Tons of creepy crawly monsters, spooky shadow creatures, dragons, oozes, tiles to customize your dungeon. What more could you ask for? One of the benefits of supporting an independent artist is that you can always submit a request to have custom assets or monsters drawn for you. Check out JB Media today on Patreon or on Instagram at jbmedia.dnd. Don't forget to like and follow them for more fantasy drops.
This is a Wicked Cool Kids production. Kristen, you ready?
Yeah, hello. Welcome to your favorite episode of the podcast that we're about to cast about the pods.
Hi everyone.
What are we doing?
Stop it. Ready,
Same
go.
thing we do every time. Yeah, we're gone.
Try to take
how is
over
everyone?
the world. No, Wicked Cool Kids podcast. Joe, you're even on brand. I like your shirt. Good job.
We're all good.
Yeah. It's time to record, isn't it? Hi. As always, we have Jason, Lee, Kristen, and myself. Welcome.
Who are you?
How's everyone been this week? Me, I'm Joe.
Joe. Okay.
Yeah, I need to. Yeah. What have you been up to this week? Has anyone done anything exciting? I know what I've done. I'm very sad about it.
Why don't we start with you first? We start off on the sad note, Joe, and then we can try and
Yeah, we can bring it up.
This episode. Then we can constantly refer to it as we go through the episode.
Yeah, I killed a lizard, and I'm really upset.
Oh,
Wait.
Joe! Wait, on purpose?
Yeah,
Okay, I know.
I agreed to
me a
do it in
second.
advance and everything.
It took me a second. I understand what you're talking about now. Listen, that was in pretend life. Sometimes pretend life feels like for real life, so it's gonna be okay, Joe. But I think the takeaway is don't fucking make bargains with fiends. Maybe.
I mean,
Now you
maybe.
know. Now you know.
maybe.
Just-
Well, I didn't. I mean, it's just a lizard, right? Except then after
Mhm.
making the bargain,
It's just
felt
your soul. That's
bad
all.
about the talking lizard.
I mean, you
Yeah,
killed
no.
an innocent creature for no reason.
We don't even know. I don't. So, for context, we've referenced Tomb of Annihilation a few times, run by our wonderful friend, the Tall Tom, and
I have written in my notepad that he's also known as Mr. Consequences.
Yeah. He's definitely known as that.
he, we were visited. I tried not to give too many spoilers for anyone that hasn't played Tomb of Annihilation, but we were visited in the night, and bargains were made. And I was incentivized to either potentially permanently take damage to myself or kill this lizard that had been following us around for a little while. And the only special thing about this lizard, as far as my character was aware, was that it could talk. But given that my character is a druid and can talk to all the creatures anyway, my intelligence is low, and that wasn't really consequential. So I was like, I mean, yeah, you want me to kill a lizard? It's sad, but it's better than...
Whatever makes you feel better.
Yeah,
Wait,
if it
look.
helps you sleep at night, mate, you just say what you need to say and we'll support you. We'll be your yes man. Yes, Joe, that was the right way.
Lee, can I tell you a secret? Can I tell
Go
you
on.
secretly?
Go on, tell me.
While we were doing this, I got a message from Kristen while I was deliberating and frantically stressing about what decision to make. And
She said kill
I
it.
got a message from Kristen in all capitals saying, "Just kill the fucking lizard." So it's not.
But wait. That was after he made the bargain. That was after he made the bargain.
No,
Because-
it was not.
Yes, it
no,
was.
it was not. I got a
will
message
pull
telling
up
me while I was
timestamps.
deliberating.
No. It was afterwards because we can't afford to lose you over the lizard. But
No.
you done did sold your soul to that thing that was trying to seduce you with bargains
I'd have
and
sold my
stuff.
soul if they'd came
So-
to knocking on my door. I'd have sold
All
it.
right, Mr. Warlock.
Such a liar.
Chill out.
Yeah, classic
Oh my
warlock.
He's literally, look at him. He's literally trying to find timestamps
I'm
right now.
scrolling through here.
It was absolutely afterwards. Because beforehand, I was messaging you for sure, also trying to say, like, just say that you'll kill a lizard, not the lizard, right? So I was helping you try and find a loophole, and then you already did it, but then that entity, named the lizard by name, right? Right
Yeah.
is the lizard's name. And that sealed the deal. You have to kill that specific lizard. But
Yeah, the one thing you forgot to tell me to do was read the contract. Like, I was presented with a contract.
I mean, isn't that a thing that maybe, like, I shouldn't have had told you to do?
If you don't want to be involved, you shouldn't have been messaging me in the first place.
You
You
know
should
what?
have just stayed out of it and left me
Apparently,
to it.
I will next session also message you periodically reminding you to breathe, because that's
It's a good
something
idea.
you
That'd be
need
great.
reminding of. Oh, you know what? It's early in the morning for me still. I'm going to have some coffee while you consider the bullshit that just came out of your mouth.
Tom made that, for all intents and purposes, as far as I know, even to this point, because I've now killed the lizard and nothing bad seems to happen, and who knows. To this point, as far as I can tell, it was just a talking lizard. Like, the lizard itself even said,
Yeah.
"Oh, a druid did this to me, and I don't really like it." So, I don't know.
You put
Poor
it out of
little-
its misery?
Poor little lizard.
But he also
I
did
know.
say that he didn't want to
It
die.
was tight.
The worst
But
of it.
listen, so the
worst
thing
of it
is,
was.
the worst of it was what? You feel bad?
The
You
wo-
should feel bad.
No, the worst of it was I had my parents visiting, and they were sat on the sofa beside me.
Mm-hmm.
At periods, my mom looked horrified. I was like, "What are they doing to you?" I was like, "They're bullying me, Mom. They made me kill a lizard." And she was like, "Well, tell them that they're in big trouble," and that she was properly defending me.
Wait, did they
Oh my
did
God.
these guys get in trouble with your mum?
Tom's in trouble with my mommy. I even said to him at some point, "My mommy wants to talk to you."
You can't kill this lizard. I got a note from my mum.
My mom says she can break me out of this contract. She'll hire all of the best lawyers. P.S. All the best ones live in the 9 hells anyway, so I don't feel like
They
that's
do.
going to get you out of it. But listen, here's the deal with hags, right? And Atuza even said they start small. They start small, and they want to lure you in with, like, oh, it was just a lizard. It was just a bug. It was just a cockroach that you stepped on. It's no big deal. And then the next time, it's a little more. Kind of like in that beep. Tom, the tall MRFer, he did the same thing to me when we played Die the RPG, right? Oh, I need you to go kill a rat, and there's a rat problem. Cool, I'll go take care of the rat problem for the owner. And then next thing I want you to do is I need you to kill something bigger, and I need you to it's very much so that. So it starts off with something innocent, but the hags feed on corrupting your soul. So that was step number 1. And as long as we don't take it any further and we understand that we made a poor choice and we're going to make good choices from now on, it'll be okay.
I'll sell my
Probably.
soul. You send them my way. I'll make a deal with them. They can have mine. I don't give a shit as long as I get something good in return.
Well,
Maybe like a cantrip that does a D10 of damage or something like that.
All right,
Increases
so
amount of shots as you level up.
Yeah.
Another the worst of it is that we were all taking long rests. There's enough of us that we don't all need to sleep, because at least one of the party can essentially do a double shift. And I had full health, and I had only 1 missing spell slot, and did not need to rest at all. And Tom phrased it in a way so casually that I was just like, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll take a shift. Why not?" And then only once I was asleep realized the consequences of my actions. So
I didn't need to rest either. I know that Mirko needed to rest. Mirko, no armor, 14 hit points to his name, needed to rest. And he gets spell slots back, and you do get spell slots back. But okay, so listen, I don't think that Tom actually listens to this on the regular, and who knows when this is going to come out. But Atuza, in her Blood Hunter glory, functions much like a warlock. Her shit resets on a short rest, so I'm okay. But
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not
I'm
going to
ex-
continue to be okay if it keeps siphoning off parts of my life essence and my maximum hit. But I did that already once with a clay golem. So
that was the other reason I made the deal, right? Because the way that he phrased it, because I was the first one to fall asleep and have this presented to me, and the way that he phrased it made me think that even if I wasn't visited again, if I took the damage, that it was going to be a continuous every night, regardless. I was going to get weaker and weaker and weaker every time, and I was like, I'm already squishy. I can't really afford to be made squishier. So, yeah, sell my soul. It's fine. Hurrah's in it to bring balance to the world. If that means selling his soul, then so be it.
Why not?
So that's what I did. I killed a lizard and felt really
So-
bad about it.
So talking about selling your souls, the new Players Handbook was out. And
That's a good segue, mate. I like that. I
and-
like that.
and warlocks don't gain their patron until level 3,
Mm-hmm.
which we touched on. But is there any other big changes in the new Players Handbook that you guys have read or noticed and would like to talk about this episode?
I still haven't looked at it yet, so I am looking forward to those of you who have bombarding me with information so I can react like, no, they didn't. Go ahead, drop it on me.
Shock. Oh my lord.
I know. Okay, so before this, right, Sir Joe had something that he had to say, and I said, just wait. Just wait. We'll talk about it live. Go ahead.
You did it. It was on this specific topic. Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I realized I've already moaned about Druid Wild Shape being they've said that it's to simplify it, and I feel like it's a nerf. The way they've changed the way that you get the stat blocks and the way that you use them. But I found out today that they've also made it so that you prepare your Wild Shape like a spell, and you are limited to known shapes. So essentially, as a druid, you know 4 animal shapes that you can wild shape into at any one time. And if you want to change them, then you have to do it on a long rest. So if you have prepared, say, a bird of some sort, a horse, a small creature, and I don't know, an ape. Let's say you wanted the utility to be able to travel fast, travel through small things, fight, and explore. Seems reasonable. And then suddenly you're in the middle of the ocean, and you really need to be able to swim. Tough luck, unless you can long rest. Because even though you've seen all these animals and wild shaped into them before, you didn't prepare it, so you're not allowed.
To be
And I just
fair,
feel like
though,
that's
as a DM, it makes it so much easier for prepping tokens.
It does.
absolutely. Absolutely.
I need you to pull up this token and stat block for this really obscure thing that I saw one time. So, I mean, but
there's no actual pressure. Like the amount of times that I've said to Tom, because I wild shape into random things all the time in Tomb, and the amount of times I said to him, like you don't need to worry about the token as long as we know how big I am. I can deal with the stat block as long as he's happy for me to do that. And the token just needs to be the right size. It doesn't have to be an image of the thing.
Yeah, as you
'Cause
level
if we
would-
up,
you.
though, you do increase those amount of forms that you know. as
You do.
well as you
You
level
do,
up.
but it's there's still a maximum. There's still a ceiling, and it's still.
Mhm.
I've
mean-
heard people argue that there's a limit to most druids get stuck in using the same forms over and over again, and I get that. But even when I've used birds, like I have used at least 4 different bird forms for their different utility in Tomb. Like I've used birds that can do flybys, and I've used birds that can fly further for exploration or have night vision for exploration and things like this. So I don't know. I get it, but it's upsetting to me.
Yeah, caps out at 8 forms. So yeah,
Yeah.
you get flying at 5. There's no restriction on whether you need to be like have a swim speed or anything like that. That's not an issue anymore. It's just the fly speed's capped at to level 5. So yeah, I mean, for DMs makes it, like Jason was saying, makes it a lot easier for you
Yeah.
to
it does feel a
prep and work
little
around.
And it gives
nerfy.
it's a nerf, yet no doubt. But I think from a game progression standpoint, it's a good nerf because
From the DM standpoint.
from prep and also for the players. I mean, often I'm kind of like people want to wild shape and like give me the token that you want to wild shape into, otherwise don't wild shape, because it's on the player. If they want to use that spell, they should be able to provide the things for it.
Sure. I would be interested to know when wild shape became a thing, like what version, because for a very long time this was played on like graph paper, not real big maps. Like you were just theater of the minding everything anyway. So you having a token prepared doesn't freaking matter as long as you have a stat block for the animal. And if you have the monster's manual there, that's not an issue either. So it's just as easy to look up the dire wolf every time you wild shape into a dire wolf as it is to go look up the Quetzalcoatlus stat block because it's in the same, book that you're looking at. And I guess if you're worried about the visual aspect of it, it's not a slight because you take such pride in your maps and I need visuals. But if you are that person who is relying on what you're seeing, then I feel like it's a much bigger issue than if you're somebody who's theater of the mind all the time, right? Like I think about Critical Role and Matt Mercer. He only uses maps for when you are actively fighting.
In the combat, yeah.
So all the rest of the time, while you're doing utility stuff, you can be wild shaping into whatever, and the visual doesn't matter because you're just putting it in your head anyway. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe you could homebrew it and rule it. Go for combat purposes, you only know how to use these particular animals.
Yeah.
Outside of combat for exploration and scouting. You can be whatever animal you want to because you don't fully need to understand the capabilities of the animal. But to do
Sure.
it in combat, you need to understand these capabilities of what is the limitations of the animal and how far you can push it because you're using it for combat.
And that also makes sense. Like I can imagine that making sense in a real world scenario, fantasy but real world. Like as a druid, if I need to be a rabbit, there's a rabbit. Cool. Okay, I'll be a rabbit and focus a little bit and concentrate. Whatever. If you're in the middle of a fight and trying to wild shape, you can imagine it taking more concentration and energy in general. There's more stresses around, and so being restricted in that high stress environment, totally makes sense.
Yeah,
Totally okay.
And I think the increase of forms as your level goes into, well, I'm going to study this animal.
Yeah.
And up to the preparation of that level up, I'm going to study these animals. So when I hit this level and I can increase forms, role play side of it, you can role play you learning that stuff, picking up an animal book at the local shop.
Yeah, it's just in Tomb when we were like we needed to get across a big chasm and there were like cracks in the walls. I wild shaped into a spider so that I could go do something that without that whole scene would have taken much longer and would have been a pain. And if I only had a restricted set of, I'm never going to prepare in a set of eight forms at my maximum. I'm never going to put a spider on that list.
Yeah.
But actually, that has lots of utility. This was sort of a lesser nerf, I think, because there were documents out there when the 2024 rules were all still in preparation and so on. The earlier suggestion was that the nerf to druid was going to be that you, instead of taking the stat block off the creature, they were going to restrict it to stat blocks for one stat block for land, one for sea, one for air, and that you would just get a. So if you were a mouse or an elephant, you had the same stat block from the same place.
Yeah, that feels a little silly.
And they've clearly done away with that. If that ever was a plan, or if that was just a rumor, that's not happened, and I'm really glad about that. So by, in an either or scenario, I have to prepare forms, as you say, Jason. It makes sense to kind of think about studying the creature, or maybe at night, or making sure you've seen it recently, so that you can actually be that thing or whatever. Is way better than I am a mouse, but I have a 18 strength.
Have they also then taken that and applied that kind of logic to conjure animals?
Like, so they've limited conjured animals, yeah. So now you get a spirit animal, which can take whatever form you want, but it has no limitations. So it can be a herd of things. But again, to make flow of the game, it's going to be the same stat block every time and stuff like that. So you're not waiting and go, I want to summon 8 elks because I can summon 8 CR2 creatures at this level. Then you have to go into the monster book or pull up the stats for a bunch of elks, and then you have to attack all of them at once, kind of deal. It breaks immersion of the game, and I think that's what they're really trying to do with this 2024.
Trying to keep flow going.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I think it has upset Tom a little bit how often I've summoned large numbers of.
Yeah, and there's some game-breaking things like summoning a swarm of flies and then true polymorphing a bunch of swarms into giant elephants and dropping meteor elements on people, and it got a little chaotic. And for those kind of meta gamers,
listen, don't punish creativity. Everybody's gonna find somebody, not everybody. Somebody's gonna find a loophole. There's always gonna be somebody to find a loophole.
Yeah.
So
Speaking to bring it up though, I've got a little bit of a buff on a spell. True Strike has been changed. So
oh, what's
originally,
that? Because it's always kind of been
yeah, it's always been a little bit bad. So the original, the legacy version now was you point a finger at target in range. Your magic grants a brief insight to the target's defenses. On your next turn, you gain advantage on your first attack roll against that, provided the spell hasn't ended. The new True Strike allows you to be guided by a flash of magical insight. You make one attack, so when you cast the spell, you get to make the attack on the same turn, so you're not wasting an action casting the spell and waiting to your next turn, because that target may die or disappear or
right.
any number of things before you actually get to use the spell. So now you can attack on the same turn, and you use your spell casting to attack it. So you can be a wizard now, and if you've got a high intelligence, your weapon is then based on your intelligence, not your strength or dexterity as well. So you can full on Gandalf with a sword now and a staff,
That's
which is
yeah, I
I
like
think
that.
they buffed it quite a bit because it was a kind of a useless spell prior to
Yeah.
now. So
I don't know that I've ever seen anybody use it.
no, yeah, it's so difficult to try and get it off, and then if you miss anyway because you're not used to using a weapon in your character, um, that change of using your spellcasting ability for the attack is also great. It allows like wizards, druids, sorcerers to then use weapons a little bit more effectively as well. So that's one of the buffs I've come across so far in the new rule system. And it's a cantrip, which is always good.
Yeah, that's nice.
Fantastic for the
Nice.
cantrip. So you're not using a spell. But they have now, you can only cast one spell that uses a spell slot. So even if you've got a bonus action, an action, they've like cleared it up because there's always can I cast a spell, and then as a bonus action, can I cast this spell? And it's always been a little bit of a grey area. Now, one leveled spell for the entire action.
So they haven't
They just like flat out.
they haven't
that's
changed
what
it.
is.
They just clarified it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then unless you've got subclasses or feats that specifically say you can do other things. But yeah, one leveled spell. They've like fully clarified that now. Black and white. One leveled spell per turn.
You know what I would like to see? For those that can, there are very few helpful bonus action cantrips. I would like to see a couple more sprinkled in, and not for the purposes of abusing it, right? But there are times where you can cast a leveled spell, and then that's either your bonus action, and then you can cast a cantrip. But I think that it would be nice to be able to have a couple more bonus action cantrips available. Or maybe I'm greedy. Or maybe both.
Maybe.
They've made Barbarian slightly better. I think they've probably been one of the classes that have had like come out on top. So your rage no longer will end on your turn because you can always use your bonus action to extend it. So you still got you can either make an attack roll or force an enemy to make a saving throw, which will extend it, or you can just straight up use your bonus action to extend your rage, which I think is pretty good because it's so fucking annoying when you rage as a barbarian and you're like, I don't know, 80 feet from somebody and you can't get to them to either be hit or make a strike, and then it's just like, oh, I've got to re-rage next, and I'm just burning through my rage slots. And
You can always bonus action slap yourself in the face. Maybe that's a free object interaction. I don't know, but like.
and it also, as long as you keep using your bonus action to extend it, rage can last up to 10 minutes as well. 10 whole minutes of being angry.
I mean,
it seems legit though. I've been.
I was gonna say that seems
10
accurate.
minutes of anger is pretty realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the only cantrips I can see as bonus actions, because I needed to search it for you, Kristen, is Magic Stone, Produce Flame, and Shillelagh. as cantrip
Mhm.
bonus actions.
They're the only bonus actions
Yeah.
Yeah,
for cantrips. Yeah, that's interesting.
cantrips.
Well, I suppose then again, I haven't looked through all the feats and stuff. I'm sure there's stuff in there that'll you'll be able to add on to use your bonus action and fill it up. Because you can always take meta magic as a caster as a feat. Then
And then quicken spell.
yeah, you got quicken and things like that.
Yeah.
I am so salty about Hexblade not being in it though. That's like it's the only thing I ever want to play. And
Well, I didn't want to tell you this before, but I personally
have a
wrote
problem,
to Wizards
okay?
of
I
the
have a-
Coast, and I said, I've got this friend that refuses to play anything else. Could you please just strip it in this next, release and force him to play something else? So I didn't want to break the news to you before this, but
But
I'm
it's
sorry.
sad.
But it's for your own good. It's
It's
going to hurt me
not.
more than it hurts you?
No,
know.
I felt like I've like broken up with lost a relationship here. It's not good. I don't understand why it's been and Artificer as well. That's been taken up.
It's in Xanathar's Guide to Everything, mate. So it's not been taken out because of the
No,
new
I know,
rules.
but
so
you'd think
you still have access to it, mate.
Maybe in that release of extra material that we know is going to happen
They're gonna pop it
sooner
in there.
than we need it, right? They'll put it in there, and oh, by the way, you thought it was gone, but it's back.
like, yeah, this guy's gonna buy it because he's obsessed, and I will. I definitely will. I'll pay whatever it costs to get that Hexblade.
Wow.
Oh yeah,
Firstborn. I feel like that's like a. Didn't I just have this discussion with Joe about how we don't make pacts with fiends and stuff?
I don't know what you're talking about. I
I'll
don't
make-
remember.
Uh-huh.
I'll make
It
the
might
pact, I
come
need
out,
it.
mate, in the Dungeon Master's Guide or the Monster Manual because it is kind of like it's a spell, but it gives you like patrons and stuff as well, which might be more leaning towards the Dungeon Master's Guide rather than the Players Handbook.
Yeah,
They could update it in there, but again, it is Xanathar's Guide to Everything, which is still supposed to be current and compatible with the new system. So you're not missing on it, mate. You just have to use it. It doesn't say legacy or anything like that on the system, so it's still current according to D&D.
It's just not as good as all the
sad.
rest of them, which is why they didn't include it in the new one. Sorry.
I don't know. I think it's pretty good. I just like it because it's neat.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Yep.
But
Sorry.
it's put me in a situation now where I look at Warlock and I go, I don't know which
Disgusting.
which subclass I would like to take because I only played a couple of the other
Well,
ones.
yeah,
so-
let's put you on the spot right now. If Hexblade is like we take that page out of Xanathar's and it's not available ever again, you have to choose something else. Do you like another Warlock subclass enough to continue on with your boothing Warlock, or
I don't-
are you so disgusted that you're like, you know what? I'm gonna have to play another class completely.
I think this could be what breaks us. This might be it. This might be a. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not me. It's you. And we're done. Because the thing is, I like playing a spellcaster, but I also like being up front and having that mix of a bit of both. Which Hexblade gave you a good option for that. You could, you were definitely limited to your spells. Like they weren't by in no way means great because you only had the 2 slots, but it was awesome being able to get up front as a caster, have a couple of spells to fall back on, and do stuff. And Eldritch Knight was the only other one that came close, but that was so flat. Like their spell list was tiny, and it was just.
But they are also both additional content, mate, and it is the Player's Handbook, and it's intended for new players to the game, and that's what this entire book is about, getting people into the game. So these extended rules it might overwhelm, and you should limit new players to these more like easier patrons to understand, because they're pretty self-explanatory even in the name of these other patrons. You got the Great Old One is one of the options in the new one, which we know like Cthulhu-esque kind of style.
Celestial, Archfey, the Fiend, they're all there.
So it's
the
those
boring
4.
ones.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But it is for players, and
Yeah.
that additional content might complicate things more. And when you're getting it's going to be the core rule set, so people aren't going to get into the game and buy that extended rules. They're going to go for the Players Handbook and the
That's
core
true.
set first.
Yeah.
So.
You gotta
Maybe-
entice
maybe
them with
I-
like the great old one instead of the mediocre middle-aged one.
don't know. But
That's
maybe
in
I
the
just end up
expanded
going for.
content.
Maybe I end up going back to Eldritch Knight, revisit that, and see if I can gel with that again and see what happens. But yeah, I
So
feel like-
salty.
Why don't you just play like a paladin or a cleric, mate?
I've played a cleric. They're all right. You know, like your budget warlock or something like that.
Budget warlock, yeah.
Budget
Speaking
warlock.
of budget, nope, we're gonna do this now. Speaking of budget, we're gonna move on.
like that?
So you're
You like
not
how I
gonna,
did
nope,
that?
you're not gonna trash my clerics. We are going to move on to bargain bin spells. So last time we met, we talked about having a spell where you either kind of take the spell name and you add a letter, you subtract a letter, you kind of make it rhyme. You alter it in some way that sounds like it's close to the original, but you change it and transform it into a different spell. We did have some great ones. Bowl the dead instead of toll the dead, bending instead of mending, square bubble instead of air bubble, and then dance instead of guidance. And this week, I want to see what you guys have come up with. Who wants to go first?
I can go first. Joe's guidance inspired me for this one. And instead of
Like his
arcane-
personal? Did he send you a
He
visual?
did me a little jiggle, yeah. So instead of arcane gate, I have come up with arcane mate, which I've lowered the level down because it's a pretty high level arcane gate. So I've lowered level to a level 1 spell. And again, keeping with the vibe of I don't want to do aggressive spells. I'm trying to make quite friendly spells. Because we've got too much aggression in D&D. So this is a conjuration spell.
It's an aggressive
I
sport.
want to change the landscape of D&D entirely.
I'm going to make it a full roleplay game by the end of this podcast. So it's a conjuration, and you create a arcane humanoid of whatever form you decide it wants to take. That will comfort you or another creature within 60 foot of you. The spell lasts as long as it takes to make the target feel better or until you dispel it.
Oh, that's so cute.
So you can have a little magical friend there who just like compliments you and will literally, it doesn't require concentration. It just stays there even forever. So if you've got a really angry dragon that is really stubborn and lives for thousands of years, that arcane mate will continue to try and make that dragon feel happy even after you're dead.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Cute.
That's so cool.
That reminds me of this really niche, I think, reference called Albie the Racist Dragon, which, if you don't know, Flight of the Conchords, CHORDS. They're a really great musical comedy group. But yeah, they have a song called Albie the Racist Dragon, and he cries jelly bean tears. And I mean, he's racist, but like this dragon that's sad for forever, he's sad of his own making. But you could absolutely cast Arcane Mate for this racist dragon. I actually thought you were gonna go with Arcane Date. As soon as you started talking, I was
Okay.
like, "Oh,
It'd be
this
like
is
like
a
a-
whole different thing."
Like a D&D AI date bot.
Or like, "Oh crap! I've been invited to this masquerade at the Lady Delbona's house, and I don't have
I
it.
suppose-
I'm casting Arcane Date."
I suppose you could use a spell for that. Like if I was a DM and it was an official spell, I'd allow it.
I
I go,
love it.
I need a date to the dance. I'm going to arcane mate myself a date.
Lovely. Who else? Who else? Who else?
I got a good one. Well, I say it's a good one. It's all right. Like it's it's
Middle-aged and mediocre. Got it. Go.
maybe lower than that. So I changed Chill Touch to Thrill Touch.
So, where's this going? I think I've seen a picture of this morning.
Yes. So yeah, it's an enchantment spell, one action. It's Ranger's Touch, obviously. And you can invigorate a friendly creature that you touch, which gives them a boost of energy, and they gain advantage on the next dangerous ability check that they make.
Interesting.
So, yeah, it has to be something that they normally would be afraid of doing, and sort of gets them over that hump of not wanting to do it, and they get that little sweet advantage to hopefully that they pass it.
I feel like in order to cast it, you absolutely have to trill the R to its thrill
Thrill.
touch. You can't
You-
just have like a cast
you-
thrill touch. It's
You've
not-
got to say some words to them. It can't be like you can't just touch away and just ignore it. You've got to come up with something something to say to them.
Go get your nails done, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh,
exactly
Joe,
that.
do you have a spell from my bargain bin?
Yeah, of course.
Resurrect lizard.
Resurrect lizard would be a good one. No, the spell I came up with was absorb elephants.
Absorb
Oh
elephants.
my lord.
Absorb elephants. So traditionally absorb elements where you
Yeah.
can absorb incoming elements, so you
Mhm.
store it up and you throw it back. So spell level's the same. There's a slight change in the components required, so now it's somatic and material. So you have to grab an elephant, and the material requirement is an elephant.
Does the size of the elephant matter?
No, the size of the elephant's irrelevant. I mean, if you've got
It's
a
irrelevant?
druid on your team,
It's
Irrelevant.
Does it have to be a living elephant?
it needs to be a living elephant.
Okay.
It could be a conjured elephant, but it needs to be
Okay.
an elephant.
Mhm.
So an elephant, it includes now a material component, which is an elephant. It does allow you to absorb anything and throw it back. So not just elements anymore, absolutely anything. But you have to first absorb an elephant for the spell to actually.
Is it because
if there's
elephants
no elephant,
never forget, so you always remember the item that
You got it.
Yeah, okay.
Oh.
you got it, and they're thick-skinned too, so they stop you from taking the damage. Yeah.
I just sent you a little thing on elephants as well, Joe, that I've seen last night. You
Would
might find it interesting.
I
Would a
probably would wait
mammoth
until after this to
count as an
open whatever
elephant?
you just sent. Would a mammoth? I told you. Wait. Would a mammoth count
That's when
as
the
an
spell would-
elephant? You know what? Joe is indisposed at the moment. I'm gonna say yes, it does. Like they're hairy cousins. It's fine.
Look, if it's got a large trunk and is larger than the average person, then it counts. So Lee, you're in luck.
They definitely needed one at that sea then. They could
I'm
have done with that
uncomfortable.
spell.
I'm going to first of all, some of these spells are highly discounted. I'll have you know, some of them are questionable. That might go in the deep discount bin. I did.
I mean, if you've got an elephant nearby, it's seriously overpowered.
Yep.
If you happen to have,
I'd just
yep,
go and rob
okay.
a baby elephant from some. I'd just hug it, and then it'd just absorb into me and have a baby elephant forever.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Baby
well,
elephant.
we-
Always wanted an elephant inside you, didn't you?
Make friends with it and then absorb it. That's
I never
brutal.
said I'd make friends
Who
with
are
it.
you?
I said I'd
You
hug
sound like
it.
the sort of person that would kill an innocent
Then we'll
lizard.
be friends forever.
Name him Jeremy.
I did, instead of burning hands, I did burning sands, and I modeled it off of spike growth. So it would be an action casting time, 150 feet, 20-foot radius centered on the point that you choose within range. And then instead of thorns or twigs, you would have an hourglass with sand in it, and you would flip it over and say some words. So that's your somatic by flipping it over, material, some words, and the ground in a 20-foot radius that you chose is going to just all of a sudden start to shimmer like you're in a very hot environment, and it's going to gradually kind of start to sink like it's quicksand, but not enough to completely absorb you, but definitely enough to make it difficult terrain. And anytime you're in there, and for every 5 feet you travel in there, you're going to have to take 2d4 fire damage because it's too hot.
Hot sun.
And it's going to look very natural. So similarly to spike growth, if you can't see the area when it's been cast, you don't know it's there unless you make a successful perception check against your spell saves DC to recognize it for what it is.
When you said
I feel like-
burning hands, Kristen, I thought you were going to do burning man. And it's really like the idea of being in mid combat cast and Burning Man, and everyone just turns into hippies.
Yes.
See next week for our next installment of Bargain Bin Spells.
It'd be like hypnotic
Everybody
pattern,
just-
but with like a just
yeah.
giant pyre of fire.
Everybody
in the
just
middle
comes out. Yep. I fully suspect that you will hash that out for us next week.
If I
Thank you very
remember.
much. So we're working on compiling these onto a document, and then I think it'd be really fun to release it. So if, you forgot to write whatever spell it was that you made down for me, I'm going to be on you for that. So we can have everybody, because why wouldn't we want to share this with everybody? Absorb elephants?
Yep. It's definitely what we want to share.
I have it in my notes. I just don't know where the Google sheet is, so I'll have to go find out.
Oh my
later.
gosh. Okay.
Yeah, I'll be honest. If you nag me to provide you with a description, I'm going to send you a link for the podcast.
Full circle. That's a good show.
Copy this. I had it online somewhere.
Were you reading off of something, or did you just bullshit? You just bullshit off the cuff.
I don't bullshit off the. You can't call it bullshit. I came up with the idea and then stored it in my brain space.
Oh, that's disgusting. I don't know why you would rely on something like that. So, anyway, whatever. Have you guys been playing any other game? I mean, I know the answer is yes for Jason. He's got his Hell Let Loose. You two, Lee and Jason, were doing what? Mines of Moria?
Yeah, we jumped on Mines of Moria. We love
We
a
did.
survival building crafting game, don't we?
Yeah,
Mhm.
mate. That's like 70% of my Steam library is just survival building craft games. I just like building houses.
Yeah, I like finding places for Jason to build, and
Yeah.
he goes away from a time to time, comes back, and he's like, "What the fuck have you done?" And there's walls up where they shouldn't be, maybe 3 or 4
Ironically,
walls.
I was just listening to the Star Do the Do podcast and talking about somebody else just making walls for no reason other than to turn people in. So yeah, apparently that's a thing we do. The other thing that you have been playing is World of Warcraft, and that's
we don't.
been around for. I didn't pull up hours or anything. Don't worry, but
That's fine. I've behaved.
Did something like it? What is there a new version that was released? Because I see several people on it recently,
Yeah.
and it's been around forever. But I feel like there's been this resurgence of activity on it.
Yeah, so the
something
last
changed?
couple of expansions that they released were a bit of a flop. They weren't the greatest, and then the War Within that they've just put out, was in the last month or so. It's sort of seen quite a bounce back of players, which is quite nice. It's nice to see. I was on the fence with it, and then a few people on the server were playing it, and then yeah, I ended up jumping back onto it. But
Mhm.
I don't know how long I'll stick to it, because it can be sort of a commitment to it. It's paid for a subscription monthly to play, unless you can
Oh.
farm enough gold in game to pay for your game time, which is doable. It just takes quite a bit of work.
Yeah.
And you don't want to spend all your time doing that, because then you got no time for anything else. So we'll see how it gets on. I'm enjoying it. It's not how I remember it. There's not a big community like it used to be. So you used to be able to go on and just strike up conversation with anybody, join
Ew.
dungeon groups and chat away as you go in. Now it's just, let's run through this without saying a word to each other. If you fall behind for a few seconds, you're kicked out of the group,
Oh.
which happened to me a couple of times.
That's very intense.
So it's just one of them. I don't know, but I'm enjoying what I'm doing. So I pick up a couple of the craftings and fishing and cooking, and then I'll just fly off, go sit by some water and fish and cook food and stuff. And that's what I just like. I'm sad. I just like that sort of simple thing, and because it's open world, there's so many different locations you can go and fly around and stuff. And I like that. If we could get tons of us into a game that was like World of Warcraft, that's not World of Warcraft, that would be amazing. So like a big old open world, crafty survival dungeony game. I don't know if there is one.
I was gonna say, is that
Exactly what I was
Minecraft?
thinking.
Yeah.
It's probably
Yeah,
that's
pretty
the
much is.
cheapest low energy game that most people will be able to get onto without any real difficulty.
My kids
Yeah.
have a dungeon version of Minecraft? I don't know, like,
Minecraft
Yeah.
Dungeons.
would that be more?
No, you're probably more likely to have to do Java or Bedrock Edition, which is the open world version. The
Okay,
Dungeons is more of
whoa,
a
we're not
story
speaking the
game.
same language right
So
now.
there's
All I was
different
saying
versions.
was, is the dungeon version closer to World of Warcraft idea? Because I keep hearing, like the other day when I jumped in call with Lee and Ellie, they were in a dungeon. I don't know anything about World of Warcraft besides what I know from South Park. So, is that landscape closer to what it is, or is it kind of a little bit of everything?
The core game is the same. I just think Dungeons gives you a story mode for Minecraft.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But the survival game is on Bedrock or Java.
Okay.
And what's the current one, Joe, that most people can play with each other on? Is that Bedrock? Java was the original PC version of it.
Yeah, Java's kind of more close to source code, and Bedrock's the one that they built for Windows basically, and is available on Windows and the Switch and tablets and phones, and you can cross-play. So quite often I play my boys on his tablet while I'm on my computer, while our neighbor kid is on his Switch, and we can all play together.
Yeah, so that a Bedrock version would probably be most likely to get the community all in one place. I'm playing some kind of survival dungeon-y game, which would be interesting.
Yeah, if only someone had
Made a server for it.
commissioned a Minecraft Bedrock server and given it a nice, easy to remember URL
Yeah.
for everyone to
Yeah,
join.
That would
it's a
be great.
shame that
A year
I'm
ago.
on-
If only
I'm
that
on
happened.
Java
Yeah.
and could not join it.
If anyone on the
Listen.
server can do that, that would be great.
Yeah.
Look at
no-
it, Joe. Like, it's already got it up
So-
and running.
I have attempted, my kids have tried to get me to play that several times, and it's one of those where sometimes it just kind of moves too much for me. It makes my delicate little brain space go a little wonky, and I get vertigo-y, and then I go,
Minecraft does that to me.
When you play as a group, everyone ends up having their own roles. Like there'll be some people that need to go off and explore and try and find resources, and there'll be some people who are like building a village on the surface. You and I, Kristen, are the mining people. You like if with the spatial issues, just go down underground and strip mine, because then you're just in straight lines going backwards and forwards, finding
Perfect.
the nice resources that people need. You're
A
not spinning
job
around
I
loads.
can
There's no
do.
enemies.
great.
Yeah, I would do that with you.
Yeah.
That's all I spend all of my time doing is strip
I
mine.
guess
I'm
I will
in
build
it.
the buildings on the surface. It's fine.
I'll just
You
be
make
there.
them pretty, community
Maybe
planning.
they're
Planning.
just throwing walls up anywhere, fighting dragons in the ether or whatever.
I don't know how I got
Okay.
here, guys. Help me.
Minute.
It's usually the case.
I think we have it. We have it on Switch, I think, because I'm pretty sure that one of mine has played with one of yours.
Mhm.
Yeah. Or I don't know actually if they ever wound up connecting.
Switch is actually one of those interesting middle grounds, because they have because it's specifically designed for kids. They have restrictions on the Switch, so I don't think you can join sort of homemade public servers from a Switch. You can only join featured servers or
Oh.
realms, both of which realms require a subscription, and featured servers are still public, which I find really odd that they would allow. They'd restrict it so that it's safer for kids, but then only have kind of public servers.
So
Like,
anybody
Like my boy
can
keeps
join
wanting
it
to join
anyway.
these public servers, and I'm like, well, no, because
I don't know any
anyone
of
can
those-
be on that saying
yeah.
whatever they want. I don't know who they are. I want you on my server.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that causes complications, but
Weird.
it's not expensive. Get it on a phone, get it on a tablet, get it on the PC. It's not super expensive these days.
Right. Well, we
Okay,
are
fine.
moving on because I'm just being aware
Mhm.
of time. So I'm
Oh,
going
you asked
to
us.
see if you guys knew what last pod beastie was. So let's go the beastie of the pod. I'll do description for the last beast, and see if we can guess what it was. So this
I'm going
creature
for half points.
is a happy-go-lucky mushroom with few cares or worries. They are captivated by music, though can't distinguish from well-played performance and a bad one. After this creature has practiced a song or a piece of music 3 or 4 times, the creature remembers it forever. Because they filter salt from the ground, this makes it very salty, thus unpleasant to most creatures, though Bully would consider them a delicacy. Joe, you are in my clockwise direction on my screen. So, what's your guess?
I have literally no idea.
No idea.
I had no clue. I even did research and still couldn't work out what it was.
Okay, Kristen.
So I have come across this before when I was looking for Thivara was a witchlight hand as her background, and she got some sort of companion, which is how we have Calliope. But that came from Stibble's Codex of something
Companions. Yeah.
Anyway, when I was looking through trying to find something for her, this came up, and I can't remember what it's called, but it's definitely related to Wild Beyond the Witchlight and the Feywild, and my brain is saying that it's Campanini, which I know is wrong because that is the last name of somebody I went to school with. Yeah. So I'm gonna say. Then I went, oh, Chanterelle, and then I said, no, you're naming real life mushrooms. So I'm gonna say something with a C. Something from the Feywild, Wild Beyond Witchlight, and that's my half credit answer. That's all I can give you.
All right.
Lee, take it home.
Campestry?
Campanunu?
Campestry.
That was my guess.
Is the correct word.
I was Campanini is really close.
I know that. I was
like, feel like that's 3/4 credit.
She's almost there.
I think you legit. You knew what it was. You just didn't know the name of it, which is fine.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the whole point for that.
Yeah, I'll allow it.
I'll accept 0.75. It's fine, but
that was quite a
Campestry.
Campestry. Yeah.
I'm literally never going to remember that, and I'm always going to call it a Campanini for the rest of my life. Like, it doesn't matter how many times.
When I ran Beyond the Witchlight, they had a really high pitch, squeaky voice. Some were just irritating. But they're a great little creature to throw in as a little role play scenario with your party. This week's creature is a little darker.
Uh-oh.
So cults devoted to this creature use mazes and complex knots in their emblems. They create secret places to indulge themselves, including labyrinths and all sorts for their master's favour. Blood-stained crowns and weapons of iron and brass decorate their altars. Over time, a cultist of this creature becomes tainted by its influence, gaining bloodshot eyes and coarse, thickening hair. Small horns eventually sprout from the cultist's forehead. In time, a devoted cultist might transform entirely into a minotaur. This is considered the greatest gift from this huge fiend.
I was thinking minotaur, but then
that's where I was going.
So it can't be that. Honestly, though, I know that as this is happening, there is a person listening, and my brain definitely, you were talking about knots and dark, and I definitely went to Fourth Wing, which is a book. There's at least 2 people who will understand my reference, and I think that they will also go, yeah. But for the rest of you, forget about it. I have no idea, because you took the thing that I was thinking, and now I'm gonna have to think about it.
Was that Fourth Wing the one where they have, the bit of
dragons
time? Yeah,
wow,
the dragons and that.
They are dragon fighters and riders, and wow.
Riders in more than one way.
No, people are not. That's a different kind of smut,
I thought this was one of them smut books that you guys are all about.
You know what? I'm going to need you to calm down. If you want to know more about it, you could go and pick up a copy and read it all for yourself.
I swear I seen in the chat.
I don't know what you think you've seen, but you don't know nothing.
I don't know what I see. You shut your mouth. You saw nothing.
I can tell you that I have not read of, in this book series, interspecies relations. So just chill out, sir.
Okay. I'm going to have to go back and check, because I swear I seen something.
I mean, just pick it up and go read it. Go read it.
It's cute. It's cute to think I know how to read.
The third book in the trilogy will be out in January, so you have plenty of time to read the first 2 books. Fourth Wing and Iron Flame is the second one.
Just audiobook them, mate, so your hands are free.
Well, if they're as dirty as they said they were, I might not be able to keep focus.
Okay, all right. I absolutely regret Today, I think in general, I'm going to go back to sleep and have to wake up again. It started out on a pretty weird note, so.
I won't bring it up.
Nah, no.
It's fine.
Great. Joe's like, look at the time, guys. And with that, I don't think we have time to talk about anything else because you guys can't behave yourselves. It's not me. It's them.
Why would we behave ourselves?
Specifically him. I don't know. Life's too boring to behave yourself, I think.
Well, I gave up being a teacher a long time ago. I've got no intention of starting to reprimand and control you guys now. Sit back and
That's
watch the
also a
chaos
lie,
ensue. It's fine.
Joe.
No, it's all good. Yeah, no, I think that is a good time to wrap up though before Lee gets into any more trouble. So, yeah. Do you know what? I keep thinking we really need little jingles for the bargain basement spells and the monster reveals.
All
to
right.
be honest, it would be great to have little jingle. Maybe we'll insert them into this episode if I get around to recording something. But we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, thank you all for listening, for joining us. I had fun as always. I hope you did too. And we'll be back next time for more fun frolics and monster reveals. If you can't be good, what should you be?
Wicked, I guess, isn't it?
Mediocre? No.
You're wicked enough as it is.
Mediocre.
You should be just
See you next time,
alright.
guys.
Wicked.
Bye.
Bye.
Wherever you found us today, don't forget to like and subscribe for more great content, and if you want to find out more about what we do, how to support us, pick up some merch and find links to our friends like JB Media, visit us at wickedcoolkids.co.uk. It'd be great to hear from any of you. And it'd be great to hear from any of you.